All right, students, this is 39.3, After Independence, Long-Term Struggles in the Post-Colonial Era, extended title. We'll do this in two parts. We'll do the first two objectives or goals, and then the other part. Understand the changes that took place in China and India. Understand the resurgence of Islamic power. Emphasis on Islamic power, because that's probably going to have some sort of relevance in the test. All right. Communism and democracy in China. So remember, China goes communist. Mao's in charge. He's trying to jump them forward, okay, in what he calls a great leap forward. So a series of kind of like the 5-year plans where they're going to try to jump up to catch up with the rest of the world. They have the population. They have the resources for the most part, and they want to get up there. So from 58 to 61, the great leap forward, but at all costs. So a lot of what happens is because they don't have the infrastructure, they don't have the underlying stuff to get it going, it causes great havoc. The next thing is there's rumors of dissent amongst his people, so he's going to try to stamp that out with what's called the Cultural Revolution. And so this is a whole bunch of people who doubt Mao, who doubt the system, get in trouble, much like the purges. Hey, there's a DWH. Kind of like the purges in Russia when people started to doubt Stalin or something like that, they kind of just made them go away. So pervasive policies of economic and cultural engineering, trying to get people indoctrinated and get with the program, you know, do it this way, the Maoism type of stuff. Both of them are failures. Both of them don't help out China for the most part. I mean, there's minimal contributions as far as amount of crops and stuff like that, but there's lots of problems. In your book, you read about the sparrows that Mao blames for causing problems, and then he tells all the people to kill all the sparrows. Not a good idea, because the circle of life says you need sparrows because sparrows eat bugs. Bugs eat plants. Plants are their crops. So no sparrows, lots of bugs. Lots of bugs, no crops. Bad idea. After Mao dies, in comes Deng Xiaoping, and he's going to be crucial, and it's fortunate for China he comes in at this time because he's one of the guys that talked a little bit of smack about Mao. He was with Mao for a long time, talked smack, actually got arrested or detained, I suppose, and went to a camp for indoctrination, for reprogramming. It's kind of like a bad movie. And then he comes back, and after Mao dies, he's able to become the lead person. And so he moderates on some of the things, and in particular, he opens up China to some extent to influence from the West. He sends out Chinese to go and learn about what's going on in the West and see their techniques and ideas and bring them back to China. With this, they have a lot more ideas coming into China, so to how to improve their situation, and it pays off very soon after he comes into power. He also opens up China to some sort of controlled capitalism per se, in that their factories and stuff are going to be beginning to be placed, and this is the beginning of what's called the Chinese dragon. It's going to come back. They're going to make tons and tons of stuff, and to this day, from Deng Xiaoping taking over and setting things up, China becomes much more powerful, economically powerful, to the point where they are today, where they own 60% of the United States loans are owned by China. There's a level of opening upness, kind of like a glasnost. Hey, another one. Okay, with this event called Tiananmen Square. This is a student protest where students who are learning more and more and stuff and getting some Western ideas, not Western education, but Western ideas are going to be influenced into advocating for more freedom and for a new change. And in 1989, in Tiananmen Square, which is this huge public area in China, all these protesters are hanging out and everything, and no one knows what's going on. It's actually on TV. What can be shown on TV, it's kind of controlled, but there's some of it. And people around the world are going, oh my gosh, these guys are, trying to do kind of like a Berlin Wall type of thing. And pretty soon everyone's saying, well, I wonder what's going to happen. China doesn't allow this type of dissent. And sure enough, they don't. The troops come out there. The first set of troops are like, whoa, what the heck are we doing? And the next set of troops say, no, we listened to our general. Our general said, knock this thing off. And they come in with tanks. And so, here's a very famous photo of this one guy right here. He's a Chinese student. And these tanks are coming down and to bust up the party at the Tiananmen Square. And he's out there. I should have the video, but I don't have that feature yet, where he's going to be trying to stop the tanks, and the tank swerves to the right, he swerves to the right, the tank swerves to the left, he swerves to the left. and he's not run over, but they eventually detain him, and but he was able to hold off the tanks for, I don't know if it was a couple of hours, a couple of days, but eventually the tanks do come roll in, and they break up the Tiananmen Square, arrested some of the leaders and stuff like that, and they kind of disappear them. And then China, the political power in China comes back and is kind of repressive, and then they're going to be more stealth in eliminating dissent. In India, things change quite a bit. Okay, after Gandhi comes Nehru, and after Nehru comes Indira Gandhi, his daughter, and she's going to change a couple things. India has quite a few problems. Number one, they have a massive population, not enough to keep everyone satisfied. So they need to build up their infrastructure to create jobs. So they are going to be more free. India is going to prosper, but it's going to kind of go slow for some people, while for other people it's going to move very quickly. Indira Gandhi is Nehru's daughter. He's not related to Gandhi. She starts this thing called the Green Revolution, which is new innovative ways, well, not new, but bringing in new ideas from outside, from the West and other places, into how to increase agricultural yields, more food for the people, and more food to sell for trade. This helps out tremendously, and it's the beginning of building up a true market-based economy in India that can sustain a population of that size with jobs and such. And also, what Indira Gandhi does is to institute this policy of forced sterilization. She's trying to limit the population, and so a lot of people who are they're not dumb but ignorant as to what's going on underwent forced sterilization, which is to some people very offensive, and obviously so, because they had no choice in, hey, have this procedure done. What's the procedure? Oh, we're going to sterilize you so you don't have any children. Can you hear me? Okay. So with this, it creates a whole bunch of people against her. Okay. She's also attacks a group of people called the Sikh. Okay. They're the people with the turbans on their head, and they always have a little knife. And the Sikh are one of her bodyguards, so she attacks them at this place called Amritsar Sikh Temple, because these people are kind of protesting what she's doing. And then her Sikh bodyguards soon after that, who were hired to protect her because they're Sikhs and they're supposed to be tough guys who fight and are very loyal. Well, they're also loyal to Sikhism, and she attacked a Sikh church or Sikh temple, and so one of her bodyguards kills her. Okay. Into the picture comes her son later on, and we'll talk more about him in chapter 40. I apologize. All right, a Muslim revival and the Arab disunity. So here's what's going on. This is important because it kicks into where we're at today. The Cold War split the Arab-Muslim world. So there's groups that went with the U.S. and groups that went with the Soviet Union. Israel steps in the middle of this because they're kind of the oddball. They're the one Jewish territory in the area, and they've been able to hold their ground and actually claim possession or claim more territory through a couple of wars. So the 1967 war, the 47-48 war, there was a war in 53, 1967, all these wars that they fought with and brawled with, and each time they're able to either take more territory or at least hold what they already had. In 1973, Egypt and Syria team up and they surprise attack Israel on Yom Kippur, which is a Jewish holiday. It's a special day, and then it's kind of like a surprise attack, and very quickly the Israelis come back and they're able to defeat both Syria and Egypt, proving once again that they're prepared for this and they know what they're doing. Anwar Sadat, the president of Egypt at that time, negotiates a peace treaty with Israel. Okay, these are called the Camp David Accords, and these are a big thing because it's the first step to recognizing Israel as a state. And here is Egypt, recognizing Israel. If it was another Arab nation, it would have been no big deal. But it's Egypt, and Egypt is one of the most important or more significant of those states. And so when he does it, it's a big deal, and it puts them on the map. Many of the Arab groups are mad at Egypt. Muslim extremes are very mad at Sadat because he did it. And then later on at a parade, a couple of people, one guy attacks him with a gun and shoots him in front of a whole bunch of people. Okay, because he's an extremist and he doesn't like the fact that his Muslim leader made friends with the Israelis. The movement for peace in the Middle East, it started a long time ago, and this is the idea of this area living together. So Israel, along with Arab Palestinians, in the place called the Middle East, and trying to solve it. And lots of attempts to try to minimize the amount of violence and the chaos that goes on in this area, with not great results. It's, you know, it only sustains a peace for a limited amount of time before there's some chaos and issues going on. So it starts back then. The Israeli Prime Minister, PM, Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin, signs a peace accord with the Palestinian Liberation Organization. The PLO has been considered a terrorist group by many groups because they were fighting for independence. And once again, your terrorist is also your revolutionary, depending on what side of the coin you are. Okay, so Palestinians view them as a liberation organization. Other people like Israel and many times the United States view them as a terrorist organization. These are the same guys that stormed the 1972 Olympics in Germany and took some of the Jewish athletes hostage in 1972, holding them, and then eventually the German police messed it up and blew them up on the airport. Not that the German police were bad, it's just that the plan to free them didn't result the way it wanted to. So this is a PLO organization that has done, you know, lots of things, hijack planes and stuff like that to try to get their point across, to try to get Israel to give them back their territory. And here's Yitzhak Rabin signing a peace treaty with them. Okay, later on, hey, this is a DWH within the chapter. Rabin's killed by a Jewish extremist who's mad that he's made a peace treaty with the PLO. At that point in time, they set up what the peace treaty included a thing called a Palestinian Authority, which is going to regulate the West Bank and Gaza. Not a true Palestine nation, but the beginnings of an area in Palestine for Palestinians who are Arabs. In other words, Israel is going to give up some of that area that they've claimed to take over. All right. Islamism is this movement back to the resurgence of Islam during this time period. And in particular, it's going to have a huge effect on the West and America, because they view the West as evil because of their lifestyle and because of the way they do certain things, because in some regards, American lifestyle is not viewed nicely by other parts of the world. They increasingly regard America as kind of a colonial power, either militarily, economically, or culturally, and they move to go away from it. So it's kind of an extreme stuff. Okay, and this is where the term jihad, which means protection of the faith, gets a twist to holy war, where Muslims sometimes are viewed as a stereotype. I'm a Muslim, so I'm going to kill any non-Muslim type of thing. And it comes from this hatred comes from this incident. Well, one of the incidents is of America's support for the Iranian I think he called himself president, I'm not sure, the Shah of Iran, Pahlavi, who America helped put into power over an elected leader because he was going to guarantee access to the oil fields in Iran. Well, pretty soon he's running this really dictatorial regime with secret police and all this stuff, and not nice guy. And all of a sudden there's a movement within Iran to overthrow him, get rid of him, and the movement succeeds into making him run away. He flies away on a plane. He's looking for a place to land. The Iranians say, do not take him in because we want him to bring back to home to put on trial, just like they put Saddam Hussein on trial. They want to put him on trial for the atrocities against his people, and America takes him in and saying he's protected here. This movement was led by certain groups, but into power comes this guy named Ayatollah Khomeini, who's a exile, and he's a Muslim cleric who's very radical in the sense that he's very extremist and he's very anti-American. The Iranian revolutions take the U.S. embassy, they storm the embassy, and they take, I forget, 200 hostages? Something like, no, 55, sorry. I don't know where I got 200. 55 Americans hostages, and they're going to hold them for 2 years. They shut down U.S. facilities, they confiscate all the stuff in there, okay, and they take it over. So all the stuff that America had built up in Iran is just gone. America is very upset. They try to get them back unsuccessfully, and it's not until 2 years later that they're released, because the Iranians are very, very upset at Jimmy Carter for letting the Shah in there. Okay. Here's the blindfolded U.S. diplomats, and then everyone in America is watching this on TV, and it just shows the resentment that the Iranians have towards American, and the fact that Americans also don't trust the Iranians. Okay, the Iran-Iraq War, 1980-81, Saddam Hussein, who just came to power with the little help of U.S. CIA and stuff like that, comes in. He's trying to think that they're not prepared for this, so he attacks Iran, hoping to take control. it's a war that's going to last 8 years. It's going to be huge chaos. America supports Iraq in it because they want to get back at Iran. Later on, the